All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Blatant Interference Wrestling channel. This is episode 1 of your weekly wrestling recap. Lots happened this past week. WWE held Backlash 2026 in Tampa on May 8th. There's a lot of pay cut rumors going on in the WWE that several WWE talents, especially those that are not considered to be top players, have been asked to take pay cuts. So we'll see if we're parting ways with any more wrestlers that are currently with WWE. Obviously, the New Day and Kairi Sane, some of the names that have departed recently. We already covered the Backlash results, but also Joe Hendry on Raw continued his momentum with a disqualification win over Austin Theory. And let's move on to AEW. Not really too into AEW lately. I know this past week on Collision they had a very strange Fairway to Hell match, basically wrestling on a golf course. AEW this past week, they did a tribute to Ted Turner, rest in peace. Obviously Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, he owned the Atlanta Braves, built up his various channels, Turner Home Movies, all of that, quite the legacy. Founder of WCW World Championship Wrestling. So Tony Schiavone and Sting this past week put on a little bit of a tribute to Ted Turner on the AEW programming. I don't know, this is a crazy timeline, but right now Darby Allin, of all people, is the AEW World Champion. He defended against the TNT champion, Kevin Knight. Kind of caught a little bit of that, but not really, and don't know if I can't tell you if both titles were on the line, but they should have been. After the match, Darby Allin was victorious, by the way, and MJF, the former champion, wants shot at the title. Darby Allin set the stipulation that he wants MJF's hair on the line, so we'll see if that comes to fruition. It seems like it will. So we're going to get a hair match? Weird. Anyway, crazy that Darby Allin's the champion, the world champion of the entire company, but we'll see what AEW is a interesting cat in the game. That's all I can say. Okada also confronted Darby Allin for a title shot, I believe, so we'll see what goes on there. The Death Riders, I don't know what to say about the Death Riders. It's all been strange. There was a definite ratings drop with the Death Riders stuff, and when MJF was away, Jon Moxley defeated Juice Robinson in an Eliminators match. Not too much to talk about on the AEW front from my perspective. Didn't really... I caught a little glimpse of that Fairway to Hell match, but it's not really worth talking about in my opinion. You can find that information elsewhere, I suppose, but that did happen this week. We're trying to be fair and include everybody. On to New Japan Pro Wrestling. They've got the Road to Dominion happening. A title shot has been earned. Yota Tsutsui, sorry if I botched that name, pinned the IWGP Heavyweight Champion Callum Newman. So that got him a future title shot, and that's really about it. Don't know much about this, but I heard the Olympic judoka champion, or something of that nature, Aaron Wolf. Never really heard of him, to be honest. Picked up a win over Bad Luck Fale. Moving to MLW and Mexico. There was this MLW versus CMML joint show at Arena Mexico on May the 1st. MLW, I believe, is gearing up or has been doing some TV tapings. They kind of operate in seasons, unlike most wrestling companies, so we'll be seeing more MLW in the future. Kushida successfully retained the MLW World Middleweight title against Templario in Mexico City, and Shotzi Blackheart held on to her women's featherweight title in a match against Gara Negra. CMLL Friday Spectacle on May 8th at Arena Mexico. Místico and Titan defeated Angel de Oro and Barbero Cavernario. Sorry again if I'm botching some of these names. In a classic 2 out of 3 falls match. And AAA on Fox held a television taping on May 9th. We'll get to some more information on AAA in just a minute. We're going to move on first to TNA and the Indies. In Sacramento, Leon Slater is becoming, he soon may become the longest reigning X Division champion in TNA history. He's going to be having a best of 3 falls match against Cedric Alexander this coming Thursday, I believe. And in the Indies, we've got Coastal Championship Wrestling. CCW held their Havoc and Hayes 25 event in Tampa, which featured several former WWE NXT talents. Let's see what else we can get to. Back to AAA. A surprise WWE appearance on AAA. Not too surprising. Bailey made a surprise appearance this week on AAA. She appeared on the May 9th show. She made a surprise run-in to assist La Catalina, who is making her official AAA debut. Catalina went after Flammer, the Reina de Reinas champion, and so we'll have to keep an eye on how that develops. I'm going to try to start watching a little bit more AAA. Hard to find the time, hard to squeeze all this in, but that's why I'm thinking that this might be a good idea, because a lot of us are into all the wrestling, but we can't keep up with all of it, so this gives you a little taste of the main things that happened along with some of the non-mainstream. So Penta retained against Vikingo. So a WWE Intercontinental Championship match on AAA, which is pretty cool, and makes the title more of an intercontinental title. So that's also cool, especially since a lot of the titles weren't defended this past weekend on the pay-per-view, because it was only the WWE pay-per-view, because it was only 5 matches. The match ended with Penta hitting a Mexican Destroyer after a chaotic distraction involving Vikingo's manager and Mini Vikingo. The Grande Americano feud continues. The main event story saw the original El Grande Americano defeat Octagon Jr. and then attack comedian Alexis Arroyo. Might have to check that out. This brought out El Grande Americano 2, who they call the real Grande Americano, who challenged the original Grande Americano to a mask versus mask match. Are you still following me? So the mask versus mask match will be coming on, I think, let's check this, May 30th. The contract was signed with special conditions, no physicality until the match on May 30th. So the contract signing is in place. Not going to happen on main WWE program. It's going to be happening on AAA, because those two, believe it or not, are way more over in AAA. That also happened to Omos. They sent Omos to AAA, and Omos basically only being seen on AAA. I remember when they were building Omos up to be kind of a monster, but I think they went with Obafemi and sent Omos to Mexico. In AAW, Seth Rollins returned to AAW at the Berwyn Eagles Club, because they're having one of their actual final show at that historic venue, and there's a lot behind that we may not have time to get into. Before Seth Rollins was Seth Rollins, he was Tyler Black, spent a lot of time in AEW, so he made a surprised, unannounced return to the ring where he began his career over 15 years ago, and gave an emotional promo thanking the owner, Danny Daniels, and the venue. Some of his students at the Seth Rollins Academy were on the card, and also a new heavyweight champion. Rafael Quintero defeated Trevor Lee to become the new AAW heavyweight champion. Matt Riddle was also in appearance, defeating Stephen Wolf in a hard-hitting bout. Heather Reckless retained her AAW Women's Championship against Sierra, but was immediately jumped by Maggie Lee after the bell. The Hellhounds, Russ Jones and Shaft, kept their tag team titles by defeating the Bravo family. Also in other news, in Limitless Wrestling in Maine, their Warzone event was on May 8th, headlined by a brutal steel cage match that has already been cited as a match of the year by some contender for the Northeast indie scene. We'll have to see more about that. Leon Slater, who's been spending, I think, most of his time in TNA, has been doing a tour of a lot of the UK indies this past weekend, and he's going to have X Division title defense against Cedric Alexander. I think we mentioned that earlier in the episode, coming up soon. In West Coast Pro, they have begun teasing a major collaboration with a Japanese promotion for their upcoming summer shows, though a specific partner remains a closely guarded secret. And in the Toronto scene, which is where I'm from, there's the Toronto scene is absolutely on fire, so we're going to give this a few more minutes just to show that. First of all, WWE and Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment have announced a partnership, so that's going to be interesting. What else do we have going on? Steve Borden, Sting's son, this week secured a win over Kieran Gray, and Emmy winner Paul Walterhauser, you may know him from Cobra Kai, actually stepped into the ring against QT Marshall. In Greektown Wrestling, one of the hottest promotions in Toronto at the Ted Reeve Arena, we've got a lot of going on. April 10th, Eddie Kingston and Ortiz defeated The League, while Toronto's own Jody Threat continued her dominant run by defeating Becca. So there's lots going on with Greektown. Keep an eye on that. There's also a promotion called Demand Lucha that's having a Lucha block party May the 21st. At Parkdale Hall, the card is stacked. The Demand Lucha debut of the Octopus Jonathan Gresham will be taking along with Mexico's Arrow Boy, will be debuting, and the high-flying Gringo Loco will be there, as well as the King of Strange, Arez. There's also another promotion called Super Kicked. The Rock Show will be taking place May 22nd, taking over the Great Hall, 1087 Queen Street West, for their Toronto Pro Wrestling Rock Show. So check that out. It's going to be a 19-plus event, billed as a mix of a rock concert and fight club. Will feature performers such as Chris Chambers and Ashley Six. Destiny World Wrestling, a little bit quiet this week, but I think they're coming up with a show called Destiny Awaits in Florida. We'll have to see. Junction City Wrestling, they've just announced their Schools Out show for June 21st at Rain Hard Brewing Company. Always a great spot for more intimate wrestling, they say. So the scene in the six, definitely very healthy. Let's see what else we have. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, the brand led by Scott D'Amore. They've been doing TV tapings quite frequently, and they've signed a new deal with TSN, so they're going to have a show on a very legitimate channel here in Canada. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has been announcing that they have they're going to kind of center around certain roster members that they've signed: Josh Alexander, Giselle Shaw, and many others. They've got ties to New Japan Pro Wrestling. They have a talent exchange with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Toronto quickly becoming a North American hub for the strong style of wrestling and all wrestling in general. Let's see what else we can. Well, we've got to talk a little bit about Greektown Wrestling. They've been making a lot of waves. Channing Decker, Joey Janela is there as well. Not a huge fan, but Greektown Wrestling definitely has some momentum in the East York area and beyond. Smash Wrestling is coming back with the Rec Room series. That's going to be something to keep an eye on. And yeah, they're about to embark on a tour of Northern Ontario. So, big things happening in indie wrestling in Toronto and beyond in Ontario. And speaking of Ontario, Pure Wrestling Association in the Kitchener, Waterloo, and Guelph corridor. PWA has been running events that focus on pure rules, similar to ROH's pure wrestling styles, and that's another alternative. The Golden Horseshoe in Hamilton has Alpha One Wrestling, which was founded by Ethan Page. Not sure how much he's still involved since he signed to the WWE, but great time to be a fan of wrestling in Ontario, and if you're into that sort of thing, lots to keep an eye on, some better than others. We'll see. I'm going to keep an eye on it and keep an eye on all the wrestling action. Going to give you a weekly recap, try to keep it to 10-15 minutes, and that's a wrap. See you next time on Blatant Interference Wrestling. Thanks for checking us out.